So I've set up a nice little sharpening station on my bench top. I put down a black shelf liner so that things stay put. I've got a cafeteria serving tray that I picked up at a thrift store. And then on top of that, I've got another piece of shelf liner, and that keeps my stones nice and secure. So we're going to go ahead and touch up this blade a little bit. Now, I'm using water stones. And when you use water stones, make sure that you read and follow the manufacturer's instructions. Some water stones require that you soak them first in water, and this particular company recommends that. This particular stone here is a ceramic water stone. They just recommend you spritz it with water, and that's why I've got a spray bottle here. But so we'll kind of go through the process. So the first thing I want to do is just touch up the back a little bit. So to do that, I'm going to reorient my stones. So I'm starting, because the back's already been lapped flat, I'm starting with a 8000 grit, so it's a pretty high polish. And so to flatten the back, I just bring my body over here, and I'm holding all the pressure right on top of that bevel, making sure that the top of the back of the blade doesn't lift up at all. I don't want the back of that blade to be rounded at all. So I'm just going to put a lot of pressure on there, and you can tell that I've only got about 1/4 of an inch or so hanging over the stone. So I'm just going to give that a few swipes, and you can tell I'm already starting to polish the back. So I'm going to work a little bit more on that, on this stone. Now, one thing I want to point out when you're sharpening is to always make sure that your stones are flat. Never make the assumption that the stone is flat. So what I like to do is use another flattening stone, and just rub the tops of the stones until I get a nice even surface all the way across. So that's just a little tip I wanted to give you when you're sharpening. So I've gone to the 8000 grit here. So let me switch over to 10,000. And remember, these two stones were soaking in water, so they've got plenty of lubrication. Okay, it's maybe hard for you to see, but I'm starting to get a little bit more of a polish there. A few more strokes on that stone. And again, this may or may not be entirely necessary with a lapped blade because they grind these to a high degree of accuracy at the factory. I'm going to stop there with that one, and then I'm going to go up to 12,000 grit ceramic water stone, and just give it a couple spritz of water. Again, I'm making sure that I'm not lifting up the back of the blade, because I want to make sure that bevel stays nice and flat. I'm just putting all the pressure straight down on the blade, right above the bevel, and I'm using my other hand to guide it back and forth, keeping it flat on the stone. You can see I've got a nice polish, and it is all the way across the cutting edge, which is all I really care about. So I'm going to switch these around. I like to sharpen freehand, and if you're not comfortable with that, there are all sorts of jigs and accessories you can use to help hold the blade at the correct position as you're sharpening. But if you learn how to sharpen freehand, it becomes easy, it becomes quick, and I just want to show you how I go about it. The first thing I do, again, I'm starting on my 8000 grit stone, and I place it bevel down, and I'm just going to rock it up until I feel it click on the stone, so I know I'm flat on the stone. And then again, I'm just putting a pressure right at the tip, right in the edge, just giving it a few strokes. And then you can check your progress. Now these blades have been ground, and they've got what's called a hollow ground. They're ground with a round wheel, so it leaves just a little bit of a hollow in the bevel, which is good for us because when we sharpen, we're really only touching the heel of the bevel and the cutting edge. So if I look on here, I can already see that I'm starting to polish up that cutting edge. That looks pretty good. I'm all the way across the cutting edge, so I'm going to go up to my next stone. In this case, it's a 10,000. One nice thing about using these dual layer stones is you get two different grits on the same stone. So now I'm going to go up to my 12,000 grit ceramic water stone. Again, I'm just putting the heel down on the stone and lifting up until I feel it click. And then just keep that bevel flat on the stone and go all the way across. Now one final step you want to do after you've sharpened the bevel is make sure there's no burr on the backside, because sometimes when you sharpen the bevel you form a little curl of metal that comes up on the backside, and you just want to take the iron on the stone and just drag it one time just to remove any burr that might be there. I use my thumbnail to see how sharp I am. When I check it with my thumbnail, I'm just checking to make sure that cutting edge grabs my thumbnail. I'm not actually trying to cut anything, I'm just checking it. So that looks a little bit better. I think we might give that a shot and see what it does.